Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your December 2019 general readings. We are looking at the first half of December from the 1st through the 15th. This reading is for the Earth sign of Capricorn. Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Moon, Capricorn Rising if your Venus is in Capricorn or if you are cross-watching for a Capricorn. But as many of you know, general readings always resonate a little differently for everyone watching because there's so many of you watching. So if you know your other sign videos, Rising, Moon sign, Venus sign, watch those as well. They can provide additional clarification. And if any of you out there are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, just click on the description link below for more info and contact details. You can email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. I offer a wide variety of readings in all the main areas of life, ranging in different types and times from 15 minutes up to an hour and a half. Love and romance, relationship compatibility readings, career, work, and finance, gift readings. This is a popular gift-giving time of the year, and personal readings make great personal gifts because they are oriented towards one specific person. And also popular at this time of year are the overviews I do, 6 and 12-month overviews, which take a look at what's coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. And you can order them at any time of the year, but I always get a lot of requests around this time of year as we are transitioning out of an old year and looking ahead at a new one. So just something to keep in mind. So welcome, everyone. I am back from my travels in my home base in the United States, at least for a little while. I do like to travel a lot. Thank you to those of you who always come along with me, because I do work wherever I go. And welcome to any newcomers who may be with us for the first time. Thanks for all your likes, shares, subscribe, support, feedback, and comment. Always welcome and appreciated. All right, let's move right into this. Capricorn for the first half of December 2019. We are almost ready for the year 2020. Okay, Capricorn. We begin with the Devil. Not a very nice way to begin. Clarified by the Six of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Cups, followed by the Lovers. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and focus the first half of December is the Seven of Wands. You know, Capricorn, this reading is remarkably similar to one of your sister signs, another one of the earth signs. I think it was Virgo. So it might be a commonality with earth signs around this time, although of course it could reference any other sign as well. Overall energy is the Seven of Wands. This is a defensive card. It's a card that represents standing by and defending, protecting, or guarding something that you feel a sense of ownership or proprietorship in it because of how much you've invested in it. You can see this man is standing in the front of the door to his home, castle, keep. You can substitute anything that you feel, something that feels quite important to you because how much you have invested in it, because you feel it might be being threatened or challenged somehow, as represented by these wands, which are kind of pointed at this man, although you can't really see any specific faces or people behind them. Sometimes this can, like most if not all of the tarot cards, this card can, you know, be something for positive or something that is not so positive you might want to take a look at. It can represent standing up for an ideology, a belief system, standing up for yourself or someone else, a relationship, a job, etc. Something that you feel you have a lot invested in, which can be quite a positive thing. And I'm actually all for being challenged, because in being challenged and answering that challenge, it allows us sometimes to gain a clearer and deeper definition of what we're defending. But sometimes it can represent being too defensive, that you need to take a step back and actually look at what you're defending, which is what I'm feeling here for you, Capricorn. Take a step back and take a look at what you're actually defending, what you have invested in it, what you feel you have invested in it, and if in fact it is worth continuing to try to safeguard or keep, because it looks like there's a lot of imbalance here. And for many of you, for whom I'm reading for, that this reading is going to resonate for, It looks like it's a relationship. I think for a lot of you, it's going to be some kind of romantic or love relationship. We do have the Lovers here, which represents a relationship that you perhaps feel very passionate about, a person you feel very connected to or passionate about. Also represents needing to make a choice, perhaps about a relationship, or a choice that's going to significantly impact a relationship. So here's the imbalance. We have the Devil clarified and accompanied by the Six of Pentacles. So the Devil represents imbalance. Because it is a major arcana card, it's a significant energy imbalance. The Devil can show, and imbalance means that the scales are out of whack, which means that there's too much in one area to the detriment and harm or negative impact to other areas. The Devil sometimes comes up for addictions, drug, alcohol, sex, gambling, shopping, working, you name it. It can show up for negative toxic relationships where there's too much power and control, or compulsiveness or neediness or obsession. It can show up for toxic negative work situations, mental health issues. It's about vices and temptations too, something that we feel we're kind of enslaved to, meaning that it's something that we either return to if it's a bad habit, or something we feel we're chained to and we can't, or most often don't really want to let go of it. But it represents a lot of imbalance. There's something unhealthy and toxic about this situation. And again, I'm looking here, it is likely, I think for many of you, a relationship. So what clarifies the Devil is the Six of Pentacles. This can be a card of mutual beneficence, giving and receiving, being the giver of a gift or the recipient of the gift. And it's sometimes referred to also as the crumb card, meaning, that you're being given crumbs, or you're giving somebody just crumbs. You can see that, and the interesting thing is that I don't often get that interpretation off of this card, but I have actually a fair amount just recently in regards to relationships or situations where someone is giving far more than they're getting in return, and so they end up feeling very depleted. But because they're caught up in this cycle, or feel they have a lot invested in it, as represented by the Devil, they stay in this thinking somehow that it's going to change somehow. You can see that the man on this card, he looks like he's fairly wealthy. His clothes have that kind of beautiful sheen of silk. He's obviously well-to-do. He's weighing out his coins, or what is represents wealth or security for him, which is what Pentacles represents. Pentacles is governed by the element of earth, and in the tarot, Pentacles represents the things in our life which make often the physical structure of our life feel stable, solid, safe, secure. Money, finances, property, real estate, assets, the efforts we put into acquiring those things. It can be emotional things like stable long-term relationships, long-term marriages, or jobs, etc. But the reason it's sometimes referenced as the crumb card is because you can see this man is throwing periodically handfuls of his wealth or security out to these waiting, grasping hands, which can sometimes represent you or the person that's in the relationship. But he's not really paying attention. He's not looking directly at them. To him, they're just these hands that he's periodically throwing things, out to keep them quiet or keep them satisfied. It can be a card that represents that in this imbalanced or toxic or somehow, unhealthy relationship, there is a lack of mutual giving and receiving, because the Six of Pentacles is clarifying what the nature of the imbalance is. So for some of you, you may be in a relationship, or even a different kind of situation, or a different kind of relationship besides love and romance. I think for many of you, it's love and romance. Being in a relationship or a situation that you feel you still have to kind of fight for, you're still trying to hold on to, you're still trying to fight for it, defend it, kind of uphold it, even though there's a real lack of giving and receiving here. It looks like someone is, unless you're the one doing this, you are in a relationship with someone or a situation that you're devoting a lot to, but you're only getting back just enough to kind of keep you around. But not in a way that makes you feel relevant and seen and visible and acknowledged. It's kind of like the proverbial carrot that's dangled in front of, the mule in order to keep him moving forward, in order to keep you there, in order to keep, full access to you. It's kind of like the emotional equivalent of almost a starvation diet, where you're given just enough to stay emotionally invested in this, but not enough for you to actually be healthy and thrive and feel nourished and loved. So next we have the Queen of Cups, followed by the Lovers. As I've said about other challenging readings during this time too, I always hope that the challenging looking and feeling readings don't resonate with very many people, but that's life. I mean, these things do happen to us, and we have to move through them as quickly as possible, or in as healthy a way as we possibly can. So while I hope this doesn't resonate for a lot of you, the reason that it's coming through is because it does resonate to at least some of you who need to hear this. So the Queen of Cups and the Lovers. Queens and Kings represent individuals who have reached the top of their suit, which means that they've reached a point of balance, mastery, self-discipline, and self-control over the character traits inherent to their suit. So, they're kind of at the top of their game. This is the Queen of Cups. Cups is governed by the element of water, and in the tarot, the suit of Cups is about that watery, fluid, mercurial, emotional part of our life. So Cups is about our emotions, our feelings. It's also the area of our life that deals with relationships. So the Queen of Cups is someone who she's quite loving and quite nurturing. She is very in touch and in tune and aware of her own feelings and the feelings of those around her, which make her a very good, wife, mother, companion, friend. She is pretty very spiritually intuitive and emotionally intuitive as well. She almost always knows the right thing to say, a great source of love, support, comfort, and feedback. She's also very spiritually and psychically intuitive and in tune. I think the only other female in the tarot deck that I believe is above her or rivals her for spiritual intuition is the High Priestess. And often when the Queen of Cups shows up, particularly as advice, it is usually about being in touch with what your feelings and your intuition is telling you. As advice, this would be Spirit saying to check your intuition and not ignore it, not ignore red flags or what your feelings, your deeper feelings and intuition are telling you, because it looks like there's a decision that needs to be made, a choice that needs to be made about a primary or significant relationship in your life, represented by the Lovers. Someone you obviously feel very passionate and very connected to. The Lovers also often represents needing to make a choice, often about a relationship. In the early tarot decks, this was not called the Lovers, it was called the Choice, and it showed in some decks a man standing in front of two women, a woman standing in front of two men, the implication being that a choice needed to be made, which was going to significantly impact the nature of the relationship or everyone involved. Doesn't mean it's a three-party situation. I don't feel like it is for many of you, although it may be for some of you. But it's often about needing to make an important choice, either about a relationship or one that, making a choice that's going to seriously impact a relationship. And the interesting thing is, when I look at these cards, I can read them up and down in correlation to each other and also side by side. So the Devil is this Queen of Cups is sitting next to the Devil. So I feel like, and again, I've gotten this message for a few other signs too, and I think it was Virgo, another earth sign. There was a similar relationship or situation that was toxic, and I feel like you've stayed in it this long because the more time you have invested in it, you tell yourself, I have all this time invested in it, and if I leave this or walk away or draw clear boundaries that may end this, then it means that all that time was wasted, all that love, all that effort, all that whatever was wasted. It never is. It does go out there in the universe as part of the karmic good, and there's always an opportunity to learn valuable lessons about perhaps how we can make different choices moving forward so we don't repeat these things and these patterns, especially in relationships. It's not about loving less. It's about moving forward and making decisions on choosing who and where we love a little more wisely, because all relationships need to be symbiotic in some sense, whether it's a relationship with your loved one, family, your house, your job. We're in relationship to everything, and there has to be some kind of symbiosis there, because when we give, we need to receive too, so that we can keep on giving. If the well runs dry, then there's nothing left to give, and we end up feeling used, exploited, taken advantage of. And I feel like you're not listening to, I feel like you already know this, and you've known this for some time, but you want so much to hang on to this, that you're overriding those messages with just not looking at them, or telling yourself, oh, it'll get better somehow. One day this person's going to wake up and take a look around and realize how much I've given and change. You know, that's always the fantasy that we have when we're in relationships like this, and that can sometimes occasionally happen to people, but most often it doesn't. There's a saying, I often quote this, don't stay in a mistake simply because you took a long time making it. And I think that's relevant here as well, because you seem determined to kind of hold on to it when it's almost as if you've gotten what you're defending in your head wrapped up to be this beautiful mansion, this beautiful thing that you're defending. But put the wand down and take a look behind you. I don't think it's everything that you have told yourself that it is to keep yourself staying there. You're being given just enough, just at the right times, to keep you invested. And you know this. I think you have this understanding of it, because the Queen of Cups does. But you don't want to be in a position where you have to make that choice. But because it's coming up here, Spirit is saying you need to make a choice, because when we stay in relationships, whether it's romantic or familial or friendship or a toxic work situation, the longer we stay, the more it breaks us down, until we end up kind of becoming a shell of ourselves, and we lose our moxie, our ability to self-love and nurture and see the value in who we are. Let me pull a clarifying card for this Devil. And I'm always sorry to see such a challenging looking reading, especially during the holiday times, which can be challenging enough. So the clarifying card for the Devil is the Hanging Man. So it looks like somebody may be, for some of you, it may be somebody that's keeping you hanging, keeping you suspended. He or she could be promising movement. And again, this could be romantic or in some other kind of relationship, or even at work. You know, you could be working overtime and putting in so much work and not being properly compensated for it, but being told, oh, just a little bit longer, oh, there's going to be a raise next year, or oh, we're going to re-examine your job, you know, or a love relationship where somebody's saying, I just need more time, and you know, let me take you out, or, you know, just enough to kind of keep you waiting for something to play out, waiting for something to change, but in fact, it isn't. Let's pull some advice and guidance. And for some of you, I mean, this might not be about a romantic relationship, but the reason the Lover shows up here is, you know, I mean, sometimes the Lover shows up when a decision needs to be made about work that's going to significantly affect your primary relationship or marriage or something of that sort as well. I mean, it could be that you're staying in a toxic, negative job work situation because you're supporting your family or supporting your partner or something of that sort as well. Well, that just jumped right out there. Okay, Five of Swords, primary advice from Spirit. The Five of Swords represents a hard-won victory, and one that may at the time not feel particularly like a victory. You can see this man has just finished a battle, a challenge of some kind. He's gathered up all his opponents or enemies or whatever the situation is, weapons. So he's taken away their ability to hurt him, and he's holding his own sword aloft in victory because he's won. but it doesn't look like a particularly victorious card. I mean, the colors are still very murky and fiery. He looks tired, worn out, exhausted. He's bleeding from a little cut on his forehead. This has been a difficult and hard battle. And the people on the ground behind him can represent that the victory, the success was in freeing himself from a selfish person or selfish people, toxic, exploitative, negative situations. Sometimes the interpretation of the Five of Swords can represent freeing yourself from, you know, a relationship with someone, or a situation. Could be job 2, which you've been very attached to, but it's been negative and toxic. So at the time that you actually free yourself, i.e. break up, quit, exit, create the separation, it doesn't feel good. It hurts. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's painful. It represents a victory for you, meaning that it puts you on a path of recovery and healing, so that, because the situation you're in, there isn't any movement. There's only the promise, but it just keeps playing out for this interminable period of time. And even though the separation or break is difficult and it's hard to see the future, it puts you on a path of potential and opportunity down the road after you go through a recovery and healing period. So while at the time, this separation from what was actually harmful and negative and draining for you, may be difficult, challenging, even painful, it represents a victory, which means that it's going to put you on a path of recovery and healing, but also put you on a path to open up opportunity and potential to have what really brings you joy and fulfillment, whether it's in another romantic relationship with someone who actually sees your value and loves you down the road, or a work situation where your skills are acknowledged, recognized, appreciated, and given back to in a commensurate sort of way, or whatever kind of situation this is. I mean, just because the Lovers is here doesn't necessarily mean it's a romantic situation, but it does imply that there is some involvement or influence with a significant or primary relationship. But it definitely looks like one Spirit is saying, even though it's going to be difficult, it's not going to feel victorious, it's not going to feel like a success if you choose to separate yourself, but it actually is. And I feel like, at the very least, in terms of advice, Capricorn, you're being asked to take a look behind you and ask yourself, what are you really defending? Are you actually defending a relationship or situation where you're being given back to in an equal way? Or are you really just defending the length of time you have invested in this toxic situation? Because whatever this relationship or situation is, it's being represented by the Devil, clarified by the Six of Pentacles. This is not good. I would vote no on this, but I don't tell people what to do. I channel what Spirit gives me, which is usually about, this is what the situation is, this is what it looks like continuing forward if you continue investing in it, and this is the advice from Spirit, or the higher message it's sometimes called. But we live in a free will zone. You can stay in this situation, but I don't see it changing. And the longer that you continue to stay, the more it kind of breaks away pieces of who you are and how you view yourself in terms of what you feel you're worth getting in return. And that can really break a person down to a shell, you know, if you stay in situations like this for a long time. So please, 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 Capricorn, consider setting this wand down for a minute and taking a look behind you at what you are really defending. So that wraps up your reading for the first half of December, Capricorn. I know it was kind of heavy, but as I heard one reader say, it's just not always rainbows and Skittles, because, you know, this is one of those situations that's probably based on a negative or unhealthy habit, a pattern you have of making choices that needs to be broken. And Spirit is presenting you with the opportunity to break the chains, to break the cycle, to free yourself from not just this relationship, but the reasons why you engage in a relationship or situation like this, so that you can learn that you don't need to do this, and moving forward you won't have to. You'll grow, evolve, and elevate yourself kind of up into that next level and that next grade, and that's what you're going to attract as well. It's about having the courage to kind of face your fears and doubts and insecurities if the Strength card were to show up, and moving forward to put yourself on a path which actually is open-ended with potential and opportunity, because this one isn't. So I hope, even though this one may not have been so enjoyable, Capricorn, I hope that it provided some insight, feedback, some help, some clarity. Again, if any of you are interested in reaching out for a personal one-on-one reading with me, particularly if any of these videos resonate for you and you'd like to take a deeper look at something, click on the description link below. Email me directly at maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to set something up for you, or for friends, family, or loved ones if you're giving personal readings as gifts. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. It's all that I do. It's all that I love to do. So I'm pretty diligent at working with everyone's schedules and my own to get readings out in as timely a fashion as possible. So if you're interested, shoot me an email and we'll go from there. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks, Capricorn, for the December 2019 mid-month readings. Until then, I wish you all the very best, and I hope that everyone has a beautiful and peaceful holiday season, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.